Good morning, everybody. We're just waiting for a couple of people to join the webinar. So if you just bear with us, please, and we look forward to kicking off in a couple of minutes. Thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr.
Hello.
Good morning, everybody. Bore da chi. My name's Nigel Hollett, and I'm the director of the CLA in Wales. Absolutely delighted that you're able to join us today. We are missing a few attendees, which is why we've started a couple of minutes after 11. The weather is glorious, so we can only assume that many of our members and attendees are using the fine weather to best effect. So welcome to our seminar. This is one of a series of seminars that we've been running over the last couple of months in CLA Cymru. We also have a series of events running across England and Wales for more broader issues, but this is particularly focused on Wales, so we're delighted you are joining us. We have just under 50 people attending, so great to see so many people interested in this event. We are We've been very challenged, haven't we, all of us? It goes without saying that COVID-19 has affected everybody's business very significantly. What we've tried to do in the CLA is adapt and make sure that everything is up and running and working. So from our perspective, nothing has really changed. Everybody's working from home. We've shut the office, but we're still answering members' queries. We're still doing things like this. We're still engaging with members, and we're still doing absolutely everything that we did before, just in a completely different way. And I think one of the positive things that will come out of this, and clearly our hearts and sympathies go out to all those that have been sadly affected by COVID-19, But one of the positive things about this is we will probably all travel less. We'll all be able to work more online, work from home more, do things in a different way, which will save time, resources and carbon emissions. So it's a real opportunity, I think, to drive this kind of activity forward. We don't have a professional studio to help with this, so we've tried to do our best to make it as good as we can. Thanks to the team for making the webinar today, and absolutely delighted that we've got David Ellesmere from Super Fast Business Wales, who's going to do the majority of the presentation very shortly. So part of what we're doing in the CLA is to support our members. We've had hundreds and hundreds of calls across all of Wales and indeed England, with people back in March and April very worried about what it was going to look like and how they could adapt. So we've been supporting members with business grants, trying to access funding for them, and just really being on the end of the phone to talk through any of the problems and issues that they might have been feeling. It does feel now, doesn't it, that we are starting to move into the new phase. The Prime Minister and the First Minister have talked a lot about this, and we're trying to make sure that we are responding best we can to all of the government guidance so that we can help you move forward as members and as a sector. Many of our members have really struggled, but it's heartening to hear some of the positive stories that we are picking up on. So for instance, a number of our members are selling produce and food and plants through garden centres and other outlets. Many of them had fabulous businesses before COVID-19, but when everything shut down and people couldn't travel, they had no idea how to sell because they were used to doing at the farm gate or at the shop front door. What we've noticed is that members are being very adaptable, doing a lot of this online, and this is the kind of reason why we are holding this webinar today, to help you do that much more effectively. So that's enough for me, apart from to say we do have some more webinars coming up. We've got one over the Royal Welsh period on the 21st of July, which we will keep you all informed about, so please join us on that event. Full details will come out through the normal channels. But David, if I can now possibly pass over to you. I'm going to do my best, David, to share, to stop sharing my slides and hand over to you. So with a bit of luck and technology, David, I'll pass over to you.
Technology, always a good thing. Good morning, everybody. Bear with me 1 second while I share my screen. Right, hopefully you can all see my screen now with the slides. The title of it today, which I thought was that I was presented with, is Online Marketing to Drive Sales Post-Lockdown. All sounds very ominous, but what we're going to try and do today, if the slides stop working, why are the slides not working? There we are. What we're going to try and do today is give you some ideas and challenges to help you think about how you market your business in the awful phrase, the new normal. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? And more importantly, how are we going to tap into what the consumers are thinking about, their desires, but also their fears about what's going on. So my name is David Ellesmere. I'm Partnership Manager at Superfast Business Wales. We're part of the Welsh Government's Business Wales programme. And as Nigel already said, we've had to change completely what we do. We used to run physical workshops, about 60 a quarter, all across Wales, and do physical one-to-one support with businesses. Over about 2 weeks, we changed to delivering both 2-hour webinars and 30-minute taster sessions. We're all working from home. And we also do our one-to-one support virtually. And it's worked pretty well, not without challenges, but part of it is about thinking about how that process works. I'll say it now because I usually forget to say it, but one of the things we learned is it's not just about doing what you did before online. It's not just about marketing like you did before. We're in a different era, a different mindset now. So you just have to think about what that might look like. So why should you be using digital marketing? Because everybody's online. The figures are quite stunning and quite dramatically how they've gone up. I was reading a piece yesterday from BT about how internet usage has gone up about between 38 and 40% over the last 3 months. So people are looking online. And that is your new business card, the search. Google, and we'll talk about the others as we go through, but you are one of 270 million websites, or if you use Facebook as your predominant thing, you're one of 270 million plus out there. So you need to think about how you can get yourself seen. One comment to make here as well, we always say that businesses, even if they use Facebook quite a lot, should also have their own website as the landing point, partly because Facebook changed things a lot. If you put a post on Facebook, the likelihood of people seeing it is only about 20%, even in groups, because of the way the lovely Facebook algorithms work. And if you are building your business on Facebook and whole of your marketing on Facebook, if they change something, they could just blow you out the water overnight. I'm not saying using Facebook's bad, but think about a plan B if they do something or change something you're doing. So Google, that's your starting point. People are looking for you online, so you need to create traffic to your website. So promoting your business online is not just about using social media and your website. It has to be part of an overall marketing plan. So your website is your landing point, as we said. How can you get people there using organic marketing, paid for marketing, how you use the social media to do that, what the content is, thinking about video, and then thinking about website automation, how you can take either reviews or payments or bookings to your website. Maybe thinking about email marketing, still very, very effective. And then the reviews of what you've been doing. And then perhaps more importantly, if anything when you're working online, is analysis. What's working for you, or perhaps more importantly, what's not working for you. So why bother? As we've said, 1 in 270 million, you can use social media to communicate to your customers, service users, members, whatever they might be, the online customers. And that's not just you talking to them, it's about listening to. We talk a lot in our program about social listening. What are your customers asking for? What's the market doing? What are your competitors doing? You can use social media to find all about that. It's also about thinking about how you can reach more people by going where they are, and that's in the virtual world. Who are your customers and where do they hang out? What platforms do they use? Are they using Facebook? Are they using Twitter? Increasingly, are they using Instagram? And therefore to drive the relevant traffic to your website. I once did one of these presentations where I followed somebody that you could pay for to get likes on your business page. And we say likes are no good. If you get 100 likes, but only one of them can buy, what have you achieved? You need to drive the right people to your site, the right type of customers. So where's everybody searching? We all know about Google. It's like Hoover now. You don't search, you Google things. But don't dismiss Bing. We'll talk about that a bit coming up. Google has 5.5 billion searches a day. Just absolutely stunning. But Bing is doing 126 million a day and rising. So it's catching up fast. And then I don't even know why anybody still uses Yahoo. It's probably still big in America or something, don't know. One thing to do at the end of this webinar, if you haven't done anything else, is ensure that you have claimed your Google My Business page. When you do searches, the Google My Business page, it depends on the search, but usually it's the little box on the left or the right-hand side, usually the right-hand side, that has pictures of your premises, your address, your phone number, and maybe some reviews. If you haven't claimed it, that is just drawing stuff using Google's algorithms from other people's, from your own website maybe. So they've created that landing page. What you need to do is go and claim it. And there's a button there, it doesn't show on this one, but there's a button there saying this is my business. And you then register. And then depending upon the nature of your business, you will either be able to register automatically by email. They may send a code to your mobile phone. And occasionally they'll send you a postcard, just so you have to verify that it's your business. It's important for you to do this because particularly in rural areas, because they use postcodes, the pictures may not be actually of your premises, or they may be of your cowshed, not your lovely bed and breakfast house you may use. So you need to ensure that the pictures look good. Also, again, particularly in rural areas, the postcode might not take people exactly to your front door. You can change that, you can put in the particular map coordinates. So again, very important because a lot of people now just press postcodes into their mobile phones in their cars, and that's where they expect to go to. So you need to make sure that's right. And you also need to think about any messages you want to put on there. Opening times, like now it's quite important on Google now. You can say my business is closed because of COVID-19. That doesn't stop any of your search engine optimization rankings. Actually, they quite like it because they don't like it if you say you're open on here and you're not actually. So you can put an hours in there, you can put some messages in there, brief COVID-19 messages saying, we're getting ready to open, hope to be open in July the 4th, there we are, probably a couple of weeks later over here. What also is in there, it'll pull reviews out so you can see what other people from review sites, what people are saying about it, and you can also therefore respond on that. So definitely that's one thing you need to do about how you can go claim Google My Business. We were talking about Bing earlier too. Now, Bing for Business is becoming increasingly important because that's Microsoft's search engine, but it's also now increasingly relevant with voice search because it's the default search engine by Amazon's Alexa devices, so and their Fire. So if you search on the internet on any of the Amazon devices, that's using Bing. Bing Maps are also the default map provider, Facebook and LinkedIn. So Facebook, very important. So again, exactly the same as Google My Business, you can claim Bing My Business in a similar fashion. Okay, we often get asked about whether what platforms you should use, and the answer always is it depends. So who's your target audience? Are they there? So if you're after young people nowadays, it's TikTok, for example. The other question to answer there is, do I have the resources to do it all well? And the answer is probably no. You maybe want to think about using somebody to do your social media for you if you don't think you can give it the time or the energy. Or you may just want to concentrate on one or two platforms that work for you. There is no right answer. It's still down to you and how you want to do it. We would always recommend that you secure your digital brand across all of the sites, even if you don't use them. So claim them on Facebook, or we talked about Google, on Twitter, on Instagram, even if you don't use them, partly because you stop somebody else pinching that if you want to move to that platform later on. But also people are looking for you. So if you don't use Twitter, I'd still recommend you claim Twitter, but use a pinned tweet on the top saying, I'm not using this platform at the moment, but you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, or wherever it is. So however people search for you, they can find you. And then if you want to use it later, you've already got that branding. And again, make sure the branding looks common across all the platforms. And I would stress that resources. You can spend a lot of time if you're not careful. People talk about social media being free, and it is in terms of actually using it generally, but it's not free in terms of time. Think about that. In these strange times, this is my colleague Adam put this together, and I just love the phrase, communicate abundantly. A lot of places have had to shut up, and I understand that, and it's must be very stressful and think about how it will work. But we are going to come back in whatever format. So you need to make sure you are still communicating with your potential customers and clients. So a lot of this is teaching you to suck eggs, I'm sure, but any communication should be genuine, heartfelt. Try not to, as I've seen a couple of businesses recently get into arguments about whether Mark Drakeford is opening up Wales quicker or not. That doesn't really help your brand. You know, you're either going to upset one lot of people or another, so why bother? Communication should be helpful. Perhaps you could just say, I'm not open yet, but the butcher's down the road is just open. Isn't that good news? So you're helping people, but you're also showing people that you're caring about your local community. And I've said that, collaborative. If you can, again, a number of you start communicating the same messages. I don't know, maybe Tenby is starting to get ready to be open to visitors soon, for example, but 3 or 4 of you do it, that message starts to grow. And also think about what your audience is going through. What are they doing? They might be in a similar boat to you. So suddenly communicating that your 5-star hotel is open, fantastic, but they might be thinking a bit about money. So you need to think about how you communicate those messages. And also people might be scared. I'm sure a lot of people do want to go on holiday. I do, I know, but I have some fears about how that's going to work. And so you could start sharing perhaps information about what you're doing to make your premises, your attraction, whatever it might be, safe to visit. And I think particularly starting now, as people are starting to think about what they want to do, you need to start ramping up your social media. Start the conversation. Think about how you want to reach out to existing supporters and tell people regularly how you can support them, how you can help them. And maybe consider paid advertising on social media to tell your community you're there and what you can offer them. Perhaps not so much for tourism businesses because you're hoping to attract people from further around. But maybe in the new normal, it might be about much more local holidays. So maybe you want to think about that. So we all know what the social media brands are. Don't forget that YouTube is the second biggest search engine after Google, owned by Google as well. A lot of people, particularly younger people under the age of 30 or so, will search first on YouTube because somebody somewhere has done a video on it. So I really wouldn't recommend you don't think about using Google. It's very, very important to think about that. Nowadays, as we're all getting used to these type of webinars, and I've done loads of them, and I still don't get used to it, we're not looking for necessarily really polished product. We're looking for genuine, real product. So it's heartfelt, it's the individual, it's the person. So you're selling yourself and your brand rather than trying to be Coca-Cola and all shiny. Twitter's going through an interesting phase at the moment. A lot of people are leaving Twitter and heading to Instagram. We still use Twitter quite a lot in our business, although it's getting increasingly crowded with arguments rather than a nice place to be. So I would still recommend using Twitter, but maybe not as much as you were in the past. A lot of people, as I say, are moving over to Instagram, particularly younger people. And they're also starting experimenting with Instagram that you can purchase direct through the Instagram pages. Now, at the moment, that's tending to be more physical product, but as it grows and as they get better at it, that could well be that you could start booking things through Instagram. If your audience is business to business, obviously LinkedIn, again, we use LinkedIn a lot. Because I'm the other side of 50, I don't use Snapchat, and again, that's waning a bit in popularity. And the dreaded Facebook, the obvious Facebook. And again, no, that's, as we were saying earlier, that's starting to be an issue. Probably seen in America now, a number of brands are stopping advertising on Facebook at the moment. So these things you need to just be aware of. Do you want to associate your brand with some of the things that are going on Facebook? But I also get perfectly why a lot of people use it. I really do. User-generated content. Most people trust online content from friends and family above any forms of brand messaging. I've been to, and it was brilliant, you should go, all of those. But the interesting stat underneath that, they trust strangers second most, far more than they trust any content from brands. So I post online that I've been to stay at your hotel. I put a review saying it was fantastic, or maybe that it was okay. But so you need to think about user-generated content. So using the reviews, asking people for reviews, but also creating your own content to use. By creating a campaign, you can use either other customers or your own content. This is one for people to try and share their own pup photos, because of course that's what the internet was invented for, dogs and cats. They even saw some travel tips to create pet-friendly travel guides. So it's using what's out there, their own pictures, other people's pictures, to create some content to encourage people. I'm sure you're all familiar with TripAdvisor, but tourism was one of the first sectors to witness user-generated content, i.e. reviews and responses to reviews. Good and bad, but you can't ignore it. Hopefully most of your reviews are good. We would always recommend, if somebody gives you a good review, respond to it. A lot of people only respond to the bad reviews. If you can, take bad reviews offline or respond very neutrally. Tone is very difficult to get things right if you're disagreeing with somebody on a review site, so be very, very careful. If you can, I'm sorry to hear your experience. If you can drop me a line directly, we'll see what we can do. Those type of things, try and take it away from the review site. The advantage you guys have got, you're used to review sites. A lot of businesses are only really starting to come into that arena, so you're ahead of the game. We've talked about that. Respond promptly, and certainly don't get into tit for tat. And if it's a lot of work and you've got a team, use the different team members to share responses. It's gone now, but when it was Arriva Trains Wales, their helpline on Twitter was the two ladies and a young man, and they always logged on every morning. They took a picture of themselves on a train, and they really made it personal. So that's something you can think about. Hi, this is John, I'm the receptionist here, and I'm on Twitter duty, I'm on review duty today, something like that. So you can really make it personal. So it's harder to shout at a person than it is just a brand. That makes sense? Maybe thinking about blogging. If you haven't thought about blogging, it's really easy to do. Doesn't need to be very long, doesn't need to be any complicated thing, just either direct through your website or through a blogging site like WordPress or whatever it might be. Just think about a blog post. It helps with the search engine SEO, the search engine optimization, but it also helps with that search because you can start putting those keywords into your blogs. So it could be, again, in the current times, just a very short blog about maybe a few pictures of here we are in lockdown. This is what we've been doing, getting ready to welcome you all back. So you're also therefore attracting people looking for all types of holiday experiences, not just searching for the name of your business or a destination. So if you're a camper, you can start talking about camping, talk about campfires, you can start talking about the weather, maybe, these types of things. So it's thinking about what your product is and therefore what people are searching for. And sometimes they're slightly different. You'll think you've got one sort of thing and actually people are looking for countryside maybe, or dog walking, or good views, or near a beach, or I want to go kayaking. So these type of words you can start putting into your blogs. And like I say, once a month, maybe no more than that, and you can reuse them. It's not a problem. It really isn't. Think about your website again. Make sure that if you are using social media, the integration there, so you've got the logos on the pages in the same place on each page. Are the social icons above the fold? It's a bit like the newspaper. Nobody used to read below the fold of a newspaper. Same with websites. We don't generally get to the bottom of a website. So make the benefits. What you can also do is start to collect your mailing list. Make the benefits of joining obvious. So follow us for news updates. Sign up for our new mailing list. We give offers to people on our mailing list. Therefore, you can start to collect information, start to collect followers. So you've got an audience. I'm sure you all know what hashtags are. They were really started on Twitter as a way of filtering down online content and starting a conversation. They're now across Facebook. That's growing, certainly across Instagram, and actually again across LinkedIn. So you can either jump on somebody else's hashtag, and we'll look at that in a minute. And we've got Visit Wales up there, so the Find Your Epic. Find Your Epic has a massive reach. It really does. So if you are tweeting or sharing content about your business, if you just push the hashtag Find Your Epic in, people will find it. People will start to see it. It can also become a hyperlink when it's linked. So if I clicked on that Find Your Epic, it will bring up all the, in this case that's Twitter, all the tweets that are using Find Your Epic. Here we are. This is Watergate Bay Hotel with a fabulous picture of we would love to be there by the beach there in the hot tub. This is for Valentine's Day, interestingly, and people start searching for things like Valentine's Day 2 months earlier. So they started using this and using the hashtag Valentine's Day quite early. They also copied in Coast Mag because I know people will be looking at that. So it's how you can jump on the back of other people's work, if you see what I mean. So look out for other piggyback marketing opportunities. This is for Swansea Air Show. So Swansea Marriott then was talking about it again. They would have started a few weeks before that, but also now it's going on. So if you're enjoying the Swansea Air Show, Swansea Air Show's hashtag there, they're also copying in them and saying, we're open tonight, come and look at us. Jones Ice Cream, they're looking, they had Judy Dench, had one of their ice cream, so what a fantastic opportunity for them. It's not so much at the moment. This is for Great British Bake Off, for example. So that's always a good thing. Sewing Bee final is tonight, I assume. So if you've got something that's vaguely connected to that, don't be too weird, but vaguely connected to it, why not jump off the back of it? Because people will be looking at those conversations and might see what you're doing. And there we are. This is probably the last presentation I did before lockdown. We did a presentation on at Folly Farm, and this is where they would jump on the back of a Visit Wales tweet about the birth of their baby rhino. So using opportunities. Folly Farm has a great reach, but Visit Wales has an even bigger reach. So it's just thinking about how you can jump on the back of what other people are doing. So we've talked about you doing it, but don't forget to do it to other people. Follow back, share back. If somebody mentions you, thank them. Be a good neighbour. And increasingly for tourism businesses, I think it's a real opportunity to create the destination as the whole town, village or place where it is. So not just you marketing what you do, but marketing what visitors can do when they arrive. What are you doing? You're the hotel maybe, with a beautiful hotel, but down the road is a great coffee shop. You can go to Folly Farm, that's just up the road. Do you know what I mean? Start to get the community to sell the destination. This is a good website, answerthepublic.com. There is a free version and a paid for version. The paid for version just gives you the ability to break it down more. But basically, you can type in a couple of your keywords that you use, whatever you might be, and we've got short breaks in Wales there. And it comes up with what people in real time are actually searching for. So short blogs with dogs, short breaks in North Wales with dogs, short break. So again, it helps you understand what keywords you should be putting into your blogs, into your tweets, into your website, to what people are actually looking for. So it might not just be 5-star hotel in Temley, it might be 5-star hotel in Temley with hot tub or whatever it might be. So this website, and again, it's the free version is pretty good, so you can see what people are searching for. Maybe again, quite relevant, I think, maybe thinking about using video, either on Facebook or on Twitter Live, and certainly Instagram, you can put videos up. So just think about behind the scenes daily updates. This is what we're getting ready to do for you when you arrive. This is Gower Coast Adventures. They post some fantastic videos. They've got some fantastic videos to do. There we are. So that's their website, but also they've got both on Facebook, and I know they've now got a YouTube channel. They just post up little 1-2 minute videos of what they've been doing every day. So both the live trips, but also there's some quite good ones of them cleaning the boat and stuff like that. You know? So it's just of interest. It's just another way of doing it. You can do it live even better. Talks about Twitter. This is Visit Wales Twitter site. And you can see one of the things we talk about here is making sure that you're consistent with the branding across. So it's, you know, the pictures follow from the website into the Twitter account, so people know it's them straight away. And like I say, it's actually gone up quite considerable now. They've got over 400,000 followers now on their Twitter account. So again, well worth if you can tag them into things or get them to use your content, because they do retweet content. That's what you need to do. But of travel conversations taking place on Twitter and Instagram now, Twitter hours and Twitter days, Travel Tuesday, for example. So think about how you can start to integrate with those. If you're, we do it with Tech Days. We do it with, there's the Welsh website does. We also promote ourselves in the Welsh language, so we piggyback on some of the Welsh hours. So just again, think about what you are and what other people are doing, so you can piggyback on the back of it. So partake in the conversations that are going on around there. One of the things we do, and I haven't said it all the way through, is try not to sell too much on social media. Just say we're here. You can do special offers and things like that, but the main point is just about communicating and listening. People don't like to be sold to too much on social media. Instagram is growing phenomenally, as I said, already taking people away from Twitter. So if you're not there, you need to think about it. It is just your business photo album, although increasingly it is becoming conversation based and you can do videos on it. Instagram Stories is now beating Snapchat, and it's got more followers than Twitter, Pinterest and Snapchat combined. So if you're looking to an account to use, to me, it would be Facebook, Instagram and Twitter as the starting point, and maybe not even Twitter if it's not your thing. Instagram is growing phenomenally. And again, not necessarily professional pictures. People want to see what you're doing and who you are and what's around you. It doesn't have to be shiny. Here's the Visit Wales Instagram site. And again, if you can piggyback on the back of that, and you can see what they do, all the pictures. And I think your sector in particular is one that is brilliantly suited to Instagram and to Visit and to video. Here are a lot of horror stories about paid advertising, but it doesn't have to be expensive if you do it correctly and think about it. And again, maybe take some advice. 2 million advertisers regularly use Facebook to market their businesses in the UK. And people do advertise on Twitter, boost their brands. You have to think about that very carefully. And a whopping 68% and rising of Instagram users engage with the brands they're following instantly. Admittedly, a lot of that is fashion-based and physical product-based, but it is increasingly becoming destinations as well. The benefits of social media, advertising social media, is you're targeting your adverts. But set yourself some limits, test what you're doing, and regularly review what's happening. Facebook advertising has helped with the reach to getting at people after all the Facebook changes a couple of years ago. It's affordable and easy to track, and a good percentage of your target audience in the UK will be on Facebook around the world as well. So targeted advertising, so you're micro advertising almost, but to do that you need to think about who your customers are. Who are they? Where do they come from? What are they looking for? So you need to understand your customers, and to do that, you need to start asking them questions. Just to show you, there are about, well, it's gone up dramatically recently again, there's just over 100 or so targeting options on Facebook. So all of those you can read there. So if you know who your customers are, you can narrow down your advertising. So you're not advertising to thousands of people, you're advertising to hundreds of people, therefore the cost is less. So can't stress enough, you need to think about who your customers are, where they are and why they're coming to you, so you can target that. And I'll show you a case study coming up. Obviously, get pages, likes to grow your audience and build your brand, but it's not just about likes, it's likes on the right people. You want to use social media to drive traffic to your website or your Facebook page if that's your destination. Again, I would recommend a Facebook. Add a call to action button, find out more, go to, buy now, whatever it might be. Make sure you're telling people what you're doing, customize your headline and an advert text to tell people why they should attend. We talked about time earlier. You don't have to do all the tweets in live time, for example. Hootsuite.com is free for up to 3 social media channels and then paid before. And there are others, we'll just show you Hootsuite.com. And that allows you to schedule tweets up to a year in advance or more. But again, think about what the environment might be. So if you're scheduling tweets 6, 8, 10, 12 months in advance, there's been a lot of scheduled tweets going out over the last 3 months that haven't taken into account that a lot of people aren't working or have shut down or whatever. So be very careful. If you've got tweets scheduled and things change or something happens, go back into your scheduling software and take them down. But basically this means that you can sit on a Sunday night and schedule all your tweets, social media posts, Facebook posts for the week in advance. Don't forget to measure what you do. Sign up for Google Analytics, it's free. And that will show you who's driving traffic to you, where it's coming from. Make sure you look at your Facebook Insights and your Twitter Analytics, and track using your own monitoring spreadsheet if you want. What's worked for me? And it is very individual too. Despite what a lot of people tell you, there's not a lot of science. The science is looking at, I did this is what happened, therefore I'll do more of that or less of that. So what have we got there? You've got your Twitter Analytics down in the bottom left-hand side, Pinterest there, how many people you have reached, how they have got to you, where they've clicked from. We use a lot of links in our tweets. We use Bitly to shorten them. So we know which tweets have attracted the most clicks, what the style they were. Generally it's chatty. As a great example, I tweet a lot about this, our business we do, but some of my biggest tweets are when I talk not about business, when I talk about music. It's getting me likes, but it's just random things. So you need to look at what's working for you and how you can use that information to make sure you're reaching the right audience. A couple of very quick case studies, and then I'm nearly done. This is a glamping site in Anglesey. They used Facebook advertising, but what they do as part of that, they really know where their customers are, where they're coming from. They're up in North Wales, so they're getting a lot of business from Cheshire, Greater Manchester. So on the Facebook advertising, that's where they're ticking. They know what they're coming for. So they're, the type of people, slightly older, slightly richer audience. So they run 2 90-day campaigns a year at £1 a day on Facebook. So they are running at between 70 and 80%. They were running at 70 and 80% occupancy for £1 a day, £180 a year. They've also used Super Control, which is an online booking system. So that's the other thing you need to think about, as we talked earlier about that website integration. From Farm Yurts, again, they use their website, they build it up, and it's very based around the family, making sure that it's a family business. 2/3 of their bookings now come directly through their website, so they're not using as many of the third-party booking systems. They're driving traffic to their website using social media and paid for Facebook advertising, and again, they're being very successful. And Athletikainen, we've already showed a couple of their tweets. They do very good social media, but I showed that. This is about how they use their cloud system, their online system, to work remotely, even when they were full-time. You know, their rota systems all done online and things like that, checking their finances. One thing I did want to mention, nothing to do with social media, but we are seeing increased cyber attacks, that you need to think about how you stay safe online. One of our both taster sessions and webinar sessions is all about what you can do to make sure you're safe online, cyber security. Things like backing up, strengthening your home network, how that works, making sure strong passwords. We'll talk about that in a second. Make sure you're keeping your software updated, all the patches are doing. Think about what you're actually putting out online, what you're telling people about. It amazes me how many businesses tell people that they're not there, we're going away. Make sure your security settings are up to date, and avoid opening and delete suspicious emails and attachments. There are loads of them, particularly now around COVID-19 and track and trace. As of the back end of last week, I haven't looked this week, over £7.5 million has been lost by individuals and businesses around false COVID-19 track and trace, invoices, this type of thing, that people aren't checking properly. So have a think about your cybersecurity, make sure you're doing everything right. And this is even pre-COVID-19. Why you need to think about it is that on at least 40% businesses identified at least one breach or attack a month last year. And the average loss to that business was over £4,000. So you really do need to think about it seriously. The main point, the starting point, the bricks and all that is passwords. You need a strong password. Not the same password for your home email as your business email, different passwords for every account. Long non-dictionary words are really great. The current advice is 3 random words. Open a book and just put 3 words in the middle of the page on a book. And consider using a password manager such as 1Password or Dashlane, and make sure you switched on 2-factor authentication. If you use online banking, you're all familiar with that, but you log in, and then you also have to put in a separate code maybe. If you use Google, you try and log into Google from a different site, they'll send a passcode to your phone. That's 2-factor authentication. So didn't want to spend too long thinking about passwords, but just to let you know that you do need to be thinking about your cybersecurity in these very strange times. Thank you from me. It's been a bit of a gallop, and I hope we haven't gone too fast, but just shared some ideas about what we're doing. One of the things one of our presenters does on our webinars, and he's very good at it, Angus, is saying, I like 5 things we're going to do in the next 7 days. So don't just watch, do something. And above all, with social media, be brave, have fun, experiment. You can do very little that's going to cause offence unless you pick one side of an argument or another. So I think that's it from me. Nigel, is that okay?
Thank you, David. That's absolutely fabulous. You've stuck perfectly to time and really, really interesting slides. So if you can just stay with us, David, because we've got questions that are coming in. It's a real shame that we can't see everybody. So I hope you're all still there, out there in the ether, and you haven't disappeared off to the sun. Thank you very much, David. So yeah, the 40 Farm event you helped us out with back in February seems like a different world now, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
I think, as I mentioned earlier, one of the great things I hope that will come out of this is people are much more clued into the internet and to using social media, etc., to drive their business. I mean, I won't by any means be to try and summarize what you've said, but a few things that popped out at me were interesting. What you're saying about the internet usage has gone up 30–40%, which is just incredible, really. And I think has struck me and struck us at the CLA is it's all just kept going. You could have imagined days and days of blackouts and things not working, but on the whole, in fairness to all of the companies involved in delivering this, you've done a great job. We're obviously talking closely to Welsh Gov to make sure that this whole idea about better connectivity drives forward, but it's great to see the positive work that you're promoting through this particular channels. So maybe when you speak to your collection colleagues, just say, yeah, great, but can they make sure that
Okay, we'll do.
that would be fabulous. I mean, just a few quick things. Interesting what you were saying about what your place is in the marketplace. Don't pretend to be Coca-Cola or BMW or Volkswagen or whoever, because you're not going to compete. But still, you can still run a fabulous small business and a growing business by doing everything that you've just said.
Can I just add something to that? I think
Yeah, please.
it's great that you're not BMW and Coca-Cola, because they can't be personal. No matter how hard they try, they're a corporate. What you've got as businesses, you're you, so be you. You've got that direct contact with your customers. So don't try and be all slick and fancy if you're not. Be you. That's what people buy from.
That's a really good point. And there's some lovely photos you've got there and some case studies. I mean, one of the businesses we use for meetings, they've done a fabulous job of diversification over the last couple of years. And there's lovely pictures of self-catering businesses. And I think in terms of what's left of the year for tourism business, it's been just quite frankly devastating, as we all know, over the last couple of months. But I do sense that people are desperate to go away now and desperate to get out of their gardens and houses. So with a bit of luck and the work that you're trying to help with, then hopefully people will be able to book accommodation, get out of the cities, get out of the towns and go somewhere different. So really, really fabulous. David, shall we maybe go on to questions? There was a that somebody raised about other slides going to be shared. So yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, no problem with that.
Quick one. And again, a good chance to look at all the links you've got and all the advice that you've got through that particular route. So that's one of the questions. And I'm trying to find the rest of the questions. I've got one that came in yesterday from Bernard from Carrick-Kennin, who was just really asking about, his business plan is based solely on annual visitors, unlike many public sector attractions whose employees are paid via the public purse. How should this discrepancy be addressed? So I'm not quite sure that's one for you, David, but any thoughts around funding and grants and so on?
Certainly look at the local authority and the Business Wales COVID-19 pages where they've got all the access to all the various grants. I do understand, because we've been part of it, that there are holes in how those grant system works. So all I can suggest is you keep lobbying about, use the CLA to lobby about where those holes are, and I think the importance of particular sectors. And in terms of a marketing plan, it's the same as always. Who are my customers? Where are they coming from? And how do I reach them? So it's not just thinking about what you think your product is, it's what other people are looking for. So go and use those. What are people searching for? What are other attractions like me doing? How can I get those people? And I think there will be a staycation, whatever you shop local type thing that's going to happen now. So make sure you're part of that. Make sure you're flying your flag, saying we're here. And maybe think that in the past your people might have travelled quite a way, but maybe that will change. Maybe people go shorter distances. And in the current climate, I think very much say what you're doing to make sure you're a safe environment to go to. I know I am worried, and I'm sure a lot of other people are worried about what that's going to look like. So share that information. This is what we've done. This is how we've tidied up. This is how we've cleaned. This is how we're ensuring social distancing, whatever that might be in the future. But just keep that commentary going. As advice changes, tell people that you're following it. Don't assume that they think you've done it.
Thanks, David. I mean, just on that, we've had a query earlier this week from a member who was concerned about when the cleaning guidelines would come out, because almost every member, every business will do a fabulous job on making sure it's up to scratch. We know that, but based on what you've just said, there are different guidelines. So we've just heard from Welsh Government that the cleaning guidelines are going to be out by the end of this week. They're very similar to England and Scotland. So if you are worried about that, then do have a look at that, online somewhere, and we will redirect everybody to that in due course. So it's a plea, really. If anybody has got any questions, do keep firing them through. I'm monitoring the Q&A and the chat chat area best as I can. We've had something from Bob Hill. Thank you very much, Bob, who says a great presentation, David. Clearly,
Thank you, Bob.
now and the here and now, and the future is digital and online. Is there still a place for conventional channels such as targeted mail shots, magazine advertising, and leaflets, etc.?
Let's answer the targeting mail shots. Yes. Email marketing is still one of the most effective, but to do that, you need to collect the data. So start thinking about what you're asking your clients when they come, or using your website to collect email addresses. So thinking about the newsletter and things like that. But make sure you are contacting previous clients. So I don't know, you're a bed and breakfast. Hopefully you've collected their email addresses and asked that you can mail them. But you stayed with us 2 years ago in October. If you come back this October, here's a 5% discount, whatever it might be, those type of things. So yes, email marketing most of our clients come through email marketing, for example, despite all the social media, but we're using the social media to drive them to a newsletter. People sign up to a newsletter, and then we can, because quite often people don't buy it the first time. You need to keep going at them. Magazines is an interesting one. Again, do your research, pick the right one. I think some of the magazines like Coast and things like that are quite good for tourism. So pick your right thing. Local newspapers, if that's where your market is. Newspaper advertising on return, unfortunately, is still quite expensive, my opinion. So yes, I think leaflets are good, depending on your age group. I cycle. I get annoyed when everything's online. I want to print off the cycle route. So again, think about who your customers are. So I think there is a place for it, but it's all part of your marketing strategy. Who are my customers? Where are they going to hang out, virtually, digitally, or physically? And how do I communicate with them?
And I think, David, that's the key point, isn't it? Thinking that everybody's going to be looking at Instagram or Facebook, every 2 seconds, like my daughter does, for instance, is not the case, is it?
No.
Coast magazine delivered every month. We read it. We look at similar magazines such as that. We are of a certain demographic. It's about knowing your customer, isn't it, and who you're trying to target. So if you there's a fabulous business that I know that only caters for stag weekends, and they do a brilliant business. But quite frankly, a majority of our other businesses would be horrified if they were catering for those type of events. But you've got to know your customer, haven't you?
Yeah.
Absolutely know who you're trying to target. And if you get that wrong, you just won't do very well. And I'm guessing as well, trying to cater for absolutely everybody, unless you're a ginormous corporation, you're just not going to get anywhere. You waste time and money.
No, and it's one of the things we see, particularly in the accommodation sector, is businesses trying to be all things to all people. So they're trying to advertise one night stands, one night stays, as well as trying to be a luxury brand. And in my opinion, I find that quite difficult to achieve. So again, think about who your market is and ensure your branding is consistent to that market. It does particularly apply to the accommodation sector, and I understand why they're trying to grab anybody that's walking past. I think sometimes that can work to the business's detriment, of turning away some people that way.
David, do we have any other examples of businesses maybe that aren't in the tourism sector, maybe such as, I mentioned briefly about some garden centres and food delivery places that had gone digital and found that they were doing really, really well. Any other sectors, maybe pure farmers that are maybe trying to do that, or any other sort of parts of the...
Yeah, there's a lot going on around the direct delivery of food production. I'll give you an example, not food production, but my local butchers. I live in Penarth. They had to shut the store just purely because of social distancing, and also the sheer volume of orders they were trying to complete. They had no web presence at all. They didn't need to. Their butchers was rammed every Saturday, and but they're already now talking about that home delivery service will be part of their future as an additional source of income. So yes, at the moment you have to ring him up and ask for what you want, but he's already starting to put together an online ordering system as an added source of income to his business. So that's one. I think the other one that's quite interesting was Glamorgan Brewing Company in Lantriston, who I know through rugby and stuff, but they obviously were, they did a bit of selling direct, but not a lot. They were mainly selling into the pub trade. And obviously that stopped overnight. So they started delivering. and did a really good marketing job of that. Again, at the moment, you're ringing up for your order, but they deliver within 24 hours. And again, they're going to carry on doing that afterwards. Yes, they're going to go back to servicing the catering trade, but again, they see this online thing as an additional source of income. So I think that's part of it, thinking about your business. What else can I add on digitally? So it's not just about doing what you did before digitally, it's how can digitally enhance what I do, add other sources of income.
Fantastic. We are coming towards the end of the session, so we've got 5 or so minutes left. So please send any more questions. Otherwise, I'm sensing that people have really enjoyed it. David, we've had several people saying excellent presentation. So that's not surprising whatsoever. I guess from the CLA perspective, speaking to our members and those of you who may have joined that aren't members, come and join us. There's lots that we can help you on a variety of different areas. If you're looking at diversifying your business and you think, actually, I can really see an opportunity now to drive my sales. I'm not going to bother doing X. I'm going to try and do Y. Maybe you're thinking about converting a farm building, or you're looking for planning, or you're looking to get some legal advice on what it means to increase your online marketing business by 5 times because you want to sell meat. You mentioned, David, the issue about butchers. There's a lot of health and safety issues on the back of delivering meat. We all know that, but I think be assured that nothing is insurmountable. So if there's anything we can do to help you on that, just pick up the phone, drop us an email. We're doing exactly what we did before, and the CLA is here to absolutely help you best we can. It may seem a silly question to you. You may not be sure about it, but do get in touch. We'll do our very best to answer anything. And David, we've got a good link into you now. So if there's anything that comes in from us, we'll be able to forward that on to you and get some advice back from Welsh Government.
That's brilliant. If you search for Superfast Business Wales, you'll see all of our webinars. All the webinars are free to access. If you're an eligible business, then we'll worry about that. You can get one-to-one support. But the webinars are tasters. Anybody can go on now and go on as many as you like. So go have a look. I know I would say this, but they're very good.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. So do we have any more questions from anybody? I'm just scanning through the Q&A and through the chat bar. I can't really see anything. So just as I finish off, we've got time for 1 or 2 more if there are any. Otherwise, David, really grateful for what you and indeed Welsh Government are doing. We did have an issue with some business support grants a good few months ago. We raised it directly with Welsh Government. In fairness to Visit Wales, they were back onto us straight away. We managed to iron that out. So it's the biggest challenge any of us have ever seen, quite frankly, for more than a generation. And I think that, not everything's perfect, but it's great to see that you are open to support and help and advice. And even if it seems silly or you're feeling at the end of your tether and you're, you're in a remote place and you just don't know what to do, get in touch with us, please. That's exactly what you're here for. And I think, David, people will find the same through Business Wales, won't they, and through Welsh Government.
Certainly hope so. Yeah, that's what we're here to do, is help businesses. And you're right, it is a different world now. So we've had to change what we do. And to be fair, our funders, Welsh Government and European Funding Office, have been very sympathetic to that, allowing us to do things that perhaps 3 months ago we weren't allowed to do because it wasn't eligible.
Yeah, sure. Okay, we've got 1 more question that I can see from Hilary Rayner. I'm just trying to see where that is. Derek, I can't see that on the question bar. I've got it here now. Any ideas, David, how I can target small businesses who need individual units?
The starting point would be your local council. They will have access to a property database. Local authorities in Wales they all have their own property databases. They also have access to Wales-wide property databases. So if any business is inquiring, they would usually start with the local authority. So that's the place to start.
And thanks for that, Hilary Rain. If there's anything we can do in the CLA to help you with that, if you get stuck or you're not getting anywhere, then please come back, get back in touch to us, and we'll try and pick that up in the office if we can. Thank you for that. Okay. Message from Robert Macaulay. Thanks for a very good presentation. Best wishes. Thank you, David.
Best wishes to you.
So, okay, I'm tempted to bring the session to a close. It's pretty much dead on 12 o'clock. Any final thoughts, David, before we go off and enjoy the nice weather wherever we are?
Only to say good luck to everybody. It is hard times. You know, we're starting to have conversations in our team about what happens next and what that looks like. So I think we're all in a similar boat. So good luck with it all, and keep working, keep going. We all need you out there. So, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, everybody. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you for attending our webinar this morning. Just please remember that we do have another event coming up on the 21st of July. The Royal Welsh Agricultural Show has sadly been cancelled, as you all know, but there are a range of events that are taking place over that period. So if you can join online, that would be absolutely fabulous, and do keep an eye out also for other webinars and sessions that we are running. I'll say it again, if you need anything, the CLA is here for you. Whenever you need us, give us a shout, get in touch, and all the very best for the future. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you.